Is this like a... All right, I'm gonna do that. Cool. It's very bright up here and I can't see any of you, and that's okay. That's me. I'm Maxim. I'm a designer. I work at Flora, as mentioned. Another thing I am is a little frustrated in general, but also about some specifics I want to talk to you about today. Let me ask you something. Raise your hand if you've ever registered a domain name. It should be like all of you. Keep your hand up if you registered a domain name for a side project that you never actually ended up working on. Keep your hand up if you're still paying the renewal fees for that domain. Yeah. So all of you know, because of that, that words matter. And there you go. Text is the thing that makes up words. I'm not here to tell you that obvious stuff. I'm here to tell you about my very light perspective about what it means to go beyond text. Our wonderful speakers tonight have talked about all kinds of new input methods, new modalities, new interaction paradigms, stuff like that. But I feel like we've still lost track of the main thing, the thing in the center of the bouquet, which is text. And so like text is everywhere these days. If you've been on Twitter, you may have seen this demo completely revolutionized the way that browsers render text. I do think it does that. I think we're like 20 years overdue for stuff that you could do in Microsoft Word 98, but good for the web. But as we advance into all these technologies that abstract basic browser primitives, but also as we advance to all these new interfaces and products and ways of dealing with them, we keep getting abstracted away from the real stuff. And in my opinion, the real stuff is the words, the text. And in this case, I mean that quite literally. So many tools when it comes to at least design tools or even development tools have this new paradigm with an interface where you can scrub over the HTML and highlight the elements and maybe tweak them in the browser or send your agent more context, all that stuff. This is still a layer on top of the actual code. You're not interacting with it, you're interacting with loops that kind of sort of deal with it. I have a problem with this because my AIs never listen to me, and I get very angry, very frustrated, and I end up tweaking the code myself. And the last time I did that, it reminded me of when I was a little boy and I wanted to make a website. And to this day, then and now, it is still impossibly hard to just like want to make a website and put it on the internet and send it to your friends. You can go on Framer, you can go on WordPress, you can go on Linktree. It's still a whole bunch of stuff. And every one of them has their own angle. WordPress wants you to blog, Linktree wants you to post slop, etc. And so, all of this stuff, I've been looking for a word to call it. This is not my word, but a good word that I found to help me deal and cope with this is the idea of hyperobjects. I'm going to put a definition on the screen. Basically, a hyperobject is something so ever-present in your life that you know about it, everybody can agree on what it is, but you can't point at it, much like radioactive waste, although you can point at that, but maybe global warming. And so like all of this stuff is becoming hyperobjects. Interfaces are no longer an interface you deal with. It's something that's generated just for you, just in time. Everything moves under your feet. It's only going to get thousands of times more intense. And so I think as a way to counter that, I just want to propose a humble hyperprimitive, a sort of let's say I just want to copy this image URL, not that deep, it's just like any other WYSIWYG editor, but, oh, that's not the image, sorry. Let's refresh. Don't you love live demos? Okay, so I paste that live image, everything breaks, we zoom out, because the image is huge. So this is one of the things that I'm actually doing intentionally. So instead of recreating Framer or all these wonderful like UIs that abstract stuff on top of it, I want people to work with the raw HTML. And the reason is because it's not that complicated. Almost everything you need to do to lay out a website is possible with a few lines of HTML and CSS. I'm not an HTML CSS nerd, even though clearly it's presenting that way. But like, instead of resizing this image and going through some proprietary grid framework that Framer's putting on top of Tailwind or whatever, I could just go into the image and type a width, like in the old days, width 100. And there it is. If I wanted to perhaps resize it, I could just do that. If I want to align it top, left, bottom, right, I could do that as well. None of this is anything other than this code you see in front of you. And the big reason in addition to being able to quickly make a site, one of my biggest frustrations with working with code, especially when I was getting started, is where the fuck is my cursor? Like, I'm typing here and I see it there, but like, where is the sync? And one of the things that was very important for me was to build in this cursor sync so that wherever you are typing in the editor, you see it in your HTML code. Your mouse is, or cursor's on the image gets highlighted, etc. All that is just fancy like UI indulgences for me. The big thing here is anything you want, you can make, you can save, and you can share. So anybody can make a website. Hopefully, people have things to say. But let's see while I was yapping, what these AIs had to say. So one of the things about a new page is I want this to be an AI endpoint. So if somebody is making a website, they don't want to code it from scratch, maybe they prompt Claude and they're like, hey Claude, I want a little about me page. Get me started. And the thinking is, you say, make a new page or whatever. And there's just a bunch of instructions for the AI. Oh, I don't think I can.
It was, when you just said the brightness earlier, I think that actually affected the connection. Yep.
That's wild. Sorry. Where was I? Oh yeah, so let's see what the AIs have done. So I asked it to give me a poem, yada yada. Here's the page. I'm gonna click this link. I copy the link address. Moment of truth, let's see if the AI can pull off a website from scratch. It can. So it wrote me this little poem. Completely no HTML coding on my part, no signing up for the service, no signing up with my email, no giving you my personal information. It's just a website on the internet. And like, I'm done nerding out. The last nerdy thing I'll say about this, the other reason I wanted to make this, in addition to like people making a site and being able to get their word out there as everything collapses out on the internet and everything's shitified, giving a place for people to put content. But also it was very important for me that this is 100% private if you want it to be. And so this leverages browser hashes, which is it's the pound sign in the URL. Anything after that URL does not get sent to the server. It exists only in your machine, only on your browser. So there is nothing hitting the server if you use it this way. That said, I want there to be like social images and stuff like that for you to share. So the default path of working with this does save normal URL. And of course it's filled with bugs because it's real HTML, but that's kind of the point. So that's all. Please try some HTML. Thank you for your attention.